Hello, good morning, everyone. This is still morning, still morning. How are you on the first day of the conference? Good? Energetic? Yeah. Curious about stuff? That's good, because today we have, I think we'll spend 45 minutes with you talking about very curious stuff, very energetic stuff as well. My name is Manugiewicz, and here we are with
Maciek. Let me introduce myself with a joke shamelessly stolen from an episode of Futurama. I'm excited to be here with you. I've been a team lead for 5 years. Before that, I've been a developer for 10. And besides that, I've been a game master for over 20. But the truth is, I've been a bad one for most of those years.
Yes, exactly. Maciej told me that he learned a lot during this process, during those years. So today we'll share with you what he learned and how it fits to the leadership world and leadership roles that we have in the companies.
Yeah, so let me start with a question. Show of hands. Who of you know what role-playing games are? Okay, that's almost everyone. Who have you played in any capacity? That's also a lot. So I don't have to tell you about guys sitting usually in basements and rolling weird-shaped dice. But to look at it from more business perspective, let's break it down a little. So the word game in a role-playing game means that this is an entertainment aimed at groups of people. Then role is the part about where you sit with your friends at the table and you play a role of a character that you made up in a collectively imagined world of the game. And of course, you know, this world can be either the fantasy land that we all know and love from Tolkien or The Witchers, but it can be anything else, cyberpunk, steampunk, Victorian England, My Little Pony, whatever you want to bring to your imagined world. And the playing happens during a conversation within which situation, usually dire, is presented to the players and their characters. And those characters declare what they're trying to do. And the outcome is determined, the situation changes, conversation continues, the story unfolds. Basically, role-playing games is collective storytelling. Not like we used to have with our ancestors used to have around the campfire. Here, it's everyone at the table is contributing to the story. You can also compare it to guided improvisation. Who have you ever seen like a improv show on the stage, comedy or otherwise? It's also guided improvisation. Here, it's guided by roles and rules. Those rules can be found in a lot of existing manuals. You create your characters. So those manuals, they're kind of like languages. And the different game systems are kind of like languages or frameworks that you have to learn. When you create your character and write it down on a character sheet, it's kind of similar to like a CV. But since your character is described by some numbers and some skills, what they can do, what resources they have, that also kind of sounds like fields and methods. Then you determine the outcomes of your actions that you declare, usually using some roll of some weird-shaped dice. You can draw maps, take notes, use little figurines. All those elements are like established elements of a role-playing game, but all of them are optional. All you really need to do to weave such a story is your imagination.
Okay, but Maciej, who wins in that game then?
Yeah, the word game suggests that someone should win, right? Well, the common consensus is that since you meet with friends and you want to have fun together, everyone who has fun wins. All the manuals mention that. It's similar to like when you meet with your friends to build something together, build a shed. It's not a competition. It's not like who builds the shed fastest wins. You win together by achieving this goal. And the goal of a role-playing game is to create a captivating story together. And everyone who has fun wins.
This sounds familiar, but before we dive into the similarities, who is the game master, if you can tell us from your perspective?
Okay, again, show of hands. Who of you has been a game master? Also quite a lot.
Quite amount of people.
So the game master is this one of the players at the table is not like the others. He's the one, or she, they are the one sitting behind a screen so that no one sees their notes. They are usually surrounded by stacks of manuals. If they are not doing the most talking, they are listening very intensely, their minds racing all the time. They are processing the game world. They are the game master, sometimes known as dungeon master, secret keeper, narrator, different names, different games.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sounds interesting. So if you can tell me more about that and the audience about what does he do?
Yeah, I have this friend. He used to be my game master. Now he's a game master for all of us. He works at CD Projekt, and so he's done all those Witchers and Cyberpunks for us all. He has a son, same age as my daughter, and we introduced our kids to role-playing games already because, of course, we did. And his son, who's 7, summed it up as, you play the bad guys and you lose. And that's basically correct.
That sounds like being a leader or a manager in the company, right?
Yeah, that's why it's turned to me. We're here driving parallels between game master and leader, and I'm saying they're playing the bad guys. And this reminds me of this meme: "Are we the baddies?" Hope not. So what the game master really does is they adjudicate the rules. So they are the one to tell you that your action that you declared for your character succeeds or fails. Sometimes they tell you what to roll for that. They roleplay the world. So while you play just one character, the game master roleplays the whole world outside of the adventuring party. They are everything and everyone, environment, weather, elements, all the NPCs, the non-player characters that you meet, including the bad guys, yes.
And actually, that's very similar what I observe in our companies, that you don't even imagine how many other aspects team leader or the manager needs to take care of for you to be happy at work.
That's right. The game master tells you how the world reacts, what happens after you do something or don't do something. And also the game master brings forth the story. Not the complete story, start to finish, just some outline, some idea, some situation in the imagined world to put your players in. Basically, the game master, together with the players, play to find out what happens if you get such circumstances and you put them against such party of characters.
So we talked about initial aspects of the game and similarities, but let's focus also on the differences. The first difference, besides the money, because obviously the stake is different, right? In the games, we are just investing, or maybe not just, but we are investing our time. In the businesses, some people invest the money because they pay for our time, right? So that's the main difference.
I didn't mention that. Of course, we are here on a business conference with professionals, and we are talking about something that is played for pure fun. And we are aware that the stakes are different between a team leader and a game master. The worst that can happen if you have a bad session, you lost a couple of hours of your life. The worst that can happen in IT when you have bad management is
you can lose a lot, including the company, right? So that's the challenge. The other challenge and the other difference we have is about pure sitting space, right? So in the RPG, you can see that everyone sits in front of each other in the table, on the table, and speak during 4 hours, 6 hours. How much time do we? Yep. This is basically it. On the other hand, we have our IT environment, software development, and we love computers, right? Oh, maybe not computers, we love coding and developing software. So we sit in front of the monitors and the screens most of the day. Sometimes we have the meetings, right? We love meetings, obviously. But those meetings are the space, like in an RPG game, that could be fun potentially. I know that most of them are boring and so on, right? But that's something that can be improved. And also those meetings are the possibility for you to gather together as a group and think creatively. So that's one thing.
And yes, the difference is that RPGs are those intense time that you spend together at one table while we work for 40 hours a week together. So obviously you cannot spend this time as intensely at one table. But you still have to remember you are still playing again for the same goal, for the same product. So you are still playing together. It's just a time commitment, let's say. It's a little different.
And also we have this virtual element of it, right? That we have the repository of the code, and over there we can have we can create pull requests, and we can talk via pull requests, right? You know that, I guess. I always have this example on every single talk I provide because I love it. That I had two guys sitting next to each other during 1 week, putting 100 comments into the pull requests and not talking to each other at all, just writing the comments like a ping pong, right? So that happens when we are disconnected from the face-to-face conversation, and that's why the game setup is very important. So now the other difference is about the challenge and the defending approach. So in the challenging approach, Maciek can tell us.
Basically, the game master in a role-playing game, their role is to bring challenges to the adventuring party. They're there to not attack them, but basically bring them something interesting to do. While an IT, as a team leader, I am kind of defending my team from outside world.
Yes, but
that can be an anti-pattern, right?
Exactly, that can be an anti-pattern, because obviously the leader needs to defend and protect sort of the team in order for the team to deliver the work, right? But on the other hand, if the tasks are too boring and the projects are not excited, we tend to seek for another opportunities, let's put it that way. So as a leader, you need to think about each and every single person in your team to provide the biggest challenge that they can handle. Too many challenges at the same time, too many priorities, or too big project for the person can also cause that this person will leave your team. So you need to balance that, but definitely we are not in the company 8 hours per day to be bored. We are here to be curious. Curious, that's the word.
And also the other way around. It's not only that the game master challenges the players, they also defend, like, are a buffer from them, from the boring aspects of this virtual world, their imagined world, because we don't roleplay every aspect of our life. We don't roleplay boring things like setting up camp or doing shopping. The game master is there to only bring the interesting stuff. And also, for example, defend the team from a TPK. Who knows what the TPK is? Yeah, total party kill. So if it turns out during the session, during game, that the party went in over their head, and either the rolls are not going well and they're about to just get totally wiped out, or maybe the game master didn't prepare a good challenge, like it was too strong for this particular team, it is within the game master's power to do something with it. And that's also kind of sounds like things that I do as a team leader with my team.
All right, so if we know all of that, how to start? How to start playing in your case?
You must gather your party before venturing forth. I always wanted to say that.
All right, it sounds for me like recruitment process that we all love, right? That's the question on which side of the process we are, right? If we are those guys who needs to be hired, we loved it. If we need to recruit people, that's much tougher conversation, I guess. But we need to show the people the value, the individual value for them. And I'm not talking about pure money, but obviously money and the benefits are important for us. But I'm telling you about the value that is behind the work that you will be doing. That's why during the recruitment process you ask about the projects, you are interested what the company will achieve in such year and so on, because it will or will not give you the possibility to develop your skills. So this is about our motivation, our inner motivation that we have to drive the world, to be active and to have the impact on the daily job. I want to ask you, who of you feel that you have the real impact at work? Yes, where are you? Where are you from? We need to join your company. I'm just joking, but definitely that's the difficult part that I hear from the developers, that I don't feel the impact in this company. So this is the challenge, and this is about our motivation inside. So Maciek, how do you gather the party then?
Yeah, so this is a hobby, so it takes time, takes your time outside of work, and I think you're asking why. How do I make people spend some extra time on something that won't bring them any external motivators, like, I know, money or benefits? So all I have to offer as a GM when I start a new party is fun, and that starts with the pitch. You know, the idea. I have come probably in IT. Some companies started with people gathering together and just going, let's do something, without specifying what that would be. Maybe this happened once or twice, I don't know. In role-playing games, it always starts with an idea. Even if it's as vague as, let's play some D&D.
Yeah, you need to have the pitch in order to gather the people. That's, again, the recruitment one. When the recruiters are calling you, they have the pitch that they will sell, sort of, or they will explain you the offering. And also, if you would like to run the startup, you have the idea, and then you need money, so you need investor. That's why you need to prepare the pitch to the investors, basically to convince them, hey guys, join me, give me 10 million pounds, let's say, for the development, and I will deliver what I will deliver, and you will see the results, right? So that's the important part, pitch. We call it elevator pitch because it's a very short window, time window that you have the time to explain your pitch to the people. It's maximum 3 minutes. I think that's even 1 minute. So that's it. But how do you pitch then to your team, Maciek?
Yeah, so it can start with this default, let's play D&D together. But even that already comes with some assumptions. D&D is a specific system, specific mechanics that people may like or dislike. It's already, by default, is a fantasy world. So the system may not be enough. You can talk about this setting. I want to play cyberpunk or in a galaxy far away, right? Those two are interconnected, but not really, because sometimes you can start with the setting, like let's play something cyberpunk. But then on my own shelf at home, I have 5 different cyberpunk systems, and they're completely different. So it can go the other way around. Then we have theme and tone. Theme is what the adventure will be about. You can provide, a GM can provide information about, will it be just a classic dungeon crawl, you know, fighting monsters, gathering treasure? Will it be some palace intrigue? Will it be exploration? And then the tone is what kind of emotions do you want to evoke? Will it be, you know, just pure adventure, being heroic, or maybe something dramatic, something comedic, or a horror? And those two can be interconnected again, but don't have to, because your dungeon crawl can be a heroic adventure, but it also can be a horror. Your palace intrigue can be dramatic or can be a comedic. And then, of course, there's time commitment. So the more information as a GM I bring to the players, the more informed decision they can make, whether they want to join the game or don't, because that happens. I refused joining some groups, citing reasons like, for example, this setting is just not for me. I don't have such time for such time commitment. So it can happen. You only want, as a GM, you only want people who want to be there, right?
I would add one more thing to that, to this setting, if the game is happening online or face-to-face.
Yeah, and after COVID,
yes.
Yeah, we all learned to play online.
Exactly, and obviously that's similarity with what we have in the companies, because the very first question that I get when people asking to join the company, they ask, okay, do you have remote work? Full-time remote work, right? Do I need to show up in the office? So that's something important for people. And also, some of the people, they ask about 4 days per week working time, right? So time constraint is definitely important. All right, so if we have those people recruited, gathered, we show them the pitch, then we have the unconscious process of team dynamics. Anyone of you have heard about team dynamics? This is unconscious process which is happening between each of us, each and every one of us in the team. And we would like today to make it conscious for you. Because if you are aware of what's happening in the relationship between each other, you will be more effective at work and you can be more happy at work. So the beginning of the journey is forming. We gather the party, we are forming together. Why is it so difficult? Because of the different goals that we have. We join the party, we join the team, we saw the pitch from Maciej, that's fine, but we have slightly different goals. One goal is common for us. We would like to have fun or earn money or develop our skill set. But then we have different motivators and different goals. Jürgen Appello, you can check it after the talk. He has the idea of Management 3.0, and he described, that's not his idea, but he took it from the literature. He has some ideas about 10 motivators that can motivate us. We'll be not digging into the details, but you can check that. So if you have those group of people with the different goals, there's a forming stage. And it sounds familiar, right, Maciek?
Yeah. So session 0 is the point before you start actually playing, where you meet and talk about your play your campaign, your adventure, your party that you're going to be forming. At that point, or even before that, through other conversations like emails or in the office, if you play with friends at work, you can talk about, for example, the characters that the players will bring. And I'm sure you are familiar with everyone here played role-playing games, so you are familiar with the character classes. I don't have to run you through them, but it boils down to the particular skill sets that the characters have. And my players run it by me as a GM to see if they fit the adventure or not. Maybe you can tweak something, add something, remove. Sometimes the pitch comes already with some specific requirements, like I need you to create characters who know each other or are all fresh and new, or on the other hand, are all experienced ones. Because there is some specific idea in the plot.
I have similar feelings about our working environment. That obviously we have various different roles and our professions in IT industry, right? We can have developers, QAs, operations guys, DevOps guys, UX guys, and so on. And the trick is that in different setup of the teams, you need different people with the different skills, right? So for example, if you have component teams versus feature teams, in component teams you would like to have more people with the same skill set, development, and the other component is platform engineering and so on. If you have this feature team, you need to have all the people across the organization. So that's definitely similar. Yeah. What else do you have there?
So the players run those characters with each other, with me. We hone them down, and we have a good group. We discuss table rules. So what will be the organization of our particular play? Like how often do we play, for how long, online versus in person. We agree on some house rules. Like if there are rules we want to introduce that are like not explained in the rule book, or even we want to do them completely different than in the rule book. Like one of those rules is voices in your head, which will come later.
I will not tell anything right now.
You wanted to tell about, yes, in IT, the equivalent in IT would, of course, be our team processes, right? Code styles that we agree on, or the Jira workflows. And then also we agree, because like we meet together, sometimes we don't know each other that well, sometimes we do, but we meet to play, everyone wants to have fun, but still we need to be a little bit vulnerable at the table. So it's good to talk about some safety tools, like what do we do if something gets too intense, because that happens. I had player just leave the table at one point in one of my sessions. I thought it happens to other people. It happened to me. We need to discuss what maybe sensitive topics we don't want to touch, we want to avoid.
And this is actually what we subconsciously sometimes agree in the companies. We have some norms in the society and with the IT industry that we accept such way of working, and such ways we are not accepting, we don't accept, right? For example, the good example is shouting on the calls. I have been working in IT since 17 years, so I've heard a lot, right? But shouting on the calls is something that usually we don't hear. Sometimes, obviously, that's anti-pattern, and that needs to be addressed in the separate process. But definitely, this is the agreement, subconscious agreement that we have, that we are sort of polite, right? Or at least not aggressive to each other. And it is also important to make it conscious. Obviously, the basic safety topics are the basis, but we need to also agree on the ways of working. If we are, for example, on time on the stand-up, are we doing the stand-up? Do we need a stand-up or not? If we, what do we do on the retrospectives? Do we play a blame game or not really? We don't want to we don't want to find the people who are blamed, right? So this type of activities we do need to have in the team, development team, upfront discussed in order to feel safe and, as Maciek mentioned, to be vulnerable, because vulnerability is important in the game. You need to show your true self in the game, because that's when the fun starts. But vulnerability is important also for daily work, that you have more fun from the work and you can be more creative if you are not afraid of sharing your idea, maybe sometimes stupid ideas, but stupid ideas are always welcome as well in, for example, in my teams, because any other person can be inspired by this idea and can generate more. So it starts with knowing your people, understanding what's inside his or her head and what he or she feels at the moment. And you, as a leader, as a game master, you need to be one step ahead. So you need to think not only about code that you deliver, but you need to think about other people in this dynamic process, what's happening there.
Yeah, in order to stay one step ahead when you're a game master is using all the information you gathered so far. So everything that happened when you came up with your initial idea for a campaign, and then your players came with their own characters, with their backstories. You discuss your preferences about the adventure you want to play. You use all that as a game master to tailor the experience for your players so that they have the most fun. Like when they bring the character who is a fighter, obviously they want to fight. If they bring, in their backstory, they mentioned someone important, it's a great hook for you as a game master to use later in the campaign to get them hooked, get them motivated to continue, so that they have their own experience, their own side story. When they even create a character that has some quirky skill like brewing beer, the player would be just over the moon if you create a situation as a GM where they can use that particular skill. Use what you get from your people, and then constantly update, because that will happen all the time. We actually brought the other way around, not GM thing into IT, but the other way around. I actually brought the idea of retrospectives to my groups. We actually do meet every couple of months and discuss what can we do to play with each other better.
From the process perspective, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
the meta level, if we can say. All right, so then if we gather together and we were sort of forming, we then have self-awareness inside of us and self-awareness inside of the team. So our leader, our game master, knows us, knows our weaknesses and strengths, know our motivation, our interests, and can provide, hopefully, interesting work for us. And this is about the personality types that we have in our true selves, and some of the personalities clashes. It's not bad, because it's where creativity is born, when we know, and it triggers innovation. But it's difficult for the game master and for the leader.
Yeah, so Matt Colville, who is a very experienced game master for over 30 years and the owner of a very beautiful voice, he identified in one of his videos, has a lot of them on YouTube, he identified 8 types of players. So do you want me to run through them quickly?
Yes, you can run and I will interrupt you.
Yeah, so Min-Maxer is a player, this is types of players, not characters at the table, not characters classes, actual people sitting around the table, trying to have fun with each other. So the min-maxer is one that wants to build just the strongest character and wants to optimize. Butt kicker is someone who wants to kick butts, not necessarily in combat. Sometimes they want to, solve puzzles or basically they don't want to get bored. They easily get bored. They just want to go forward and make action happening.
Let me interrupt you here because I see those two types in the software development world as well, and they are crucial because they drive the development. Right? Min-maxer is focused purely on his or her development skills. That's the conversation about new technologies, new tools that you would like to implement. And that's fine, that's important for the project because then they can remove tech debt and move forward. But on the other hand, that's difficult for the leader because sometimes min-maxer, or always min-maxer, is focused on his or her skills. So doesn't pay attention for the business reason, for the costs. I would like just to use AWS for everything and generate the hell of instances because I like it and I would like to develop myself, right? So that's the approach for the min-maxer, and that's very costly for the company, sometimes not worth investing in such situations. So it causes over-engineering sometimes and lose of money.
That developer who wants to use AWS for everything sounds like a specialist, which is the type of player who always plays the same kind of character, like even in settings where that doesn't fit. And remember, no one is just one type. Usually people are mixes of some. Tactician is someone who wants to optimize, but not for themselves, but for the whole team. They want to do.
That's the person I like, because this person is always focused on optimization and automation, everything, right? So then, then we have easier work to do and less work, most likely.
We have actors and storytellers, which are people, types of players who wants to role play the most and wants the situation to be the most dramatic for themselves or for the whole team.
That's the ones that can write our user stories. That is good one.
Exactly, yeah. Spectators are the more passive players. They're the ones who show up and just wants to do the bare minimum. They do that. They do their work when it's their turn. They play, but otherwise they want to be told the story. So they are a little more passive. And the worst thing you can do is put them on the spot. They're perfectly happy being there and being told the story.
Exactly, and it's also very crucial to know that we do have some people like this, and we maybe are some people sometimes like this, that just would like to sit down and develop the code. Don't speak with the business, just give me the requirements. I would like to develop the code because I love it. I'm a specialist on that. And that's also fine. You as a leader, you just need to understand who is doing what. But that's also fine, and bothering them to go, how we can call it, outside of their comfort zone and so on, doesn't help them. Sometimes we just need to provide them good working conditions.
And the mad scientist is someone who wants to poke holes in the world or the game and just want to do crazy stuff. You mentioned before stupid ideas. So this is the person who has stupid ideas that sometimes can work or not.
It sounds like a chaos monkey process that some SRE guys can implement in the system. By the way, tomorrow we have the talk. I have the talk with my colleague about SRE, so you can join us as well. But
yeah, you have to remember that it's also what Matt Colville said. Sometimes it doesn't gel. It's a fallacy that every random group of people in the world can work well together. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and sometimes there are clashes, like the types that we showed you before. The min-maxer and the tactician are ones that look from the mechanic perspective and want to push towards optimizing of that. To like maximize the group's chances of success, while the actor and storytellers are focused on the story and the drama, and they want the story to be dramatic and captivating. So they will sometimes, I say they, I'm one of them, we will sometimes deliberately do something stupid, something wrong, just for the story to be interesting. We will want to make mistakes.
And this is the storming phase, when people are storming, using their own skill set and characters, and to clash between each other, but then finally, hopefully, Every band could be Rush in our companies. I would love to. Finally, hopefully, they can work and live happy ever after. So, what's the glue that provides this ideal solution? That's our common goal. One goal that we have in common to invest our time, to invest our energy, and produce software. And now the norming and performing phase is happening. So basically, starting working together, working alongside, having different ideas, different opinions, but not being afraid of speaking to each other. That where code review and pair programming is happening, because people feel secure in the pair programming process, and they can invest their time on that. If you don't have the safety in the team, people may be afraid of pair programming because of some various reasons, and that's difficult. So if we are able to build this team, then they will perform in a better way. So we need to learn about each other, and this norming and storming was the phase that we were learning a lot. Right now we use our knowledge to collaborate together and produce software effectively.
So in RPGs, who of you have seen this movie? It's still in cinemas, you can go there, and it is, besides being just a great adventure movie on the level of like the first Pirates of the Caribbean, it's also such a perfect depiction of how adventure bring party forms. Like all those steps we told you about. Forming, storming, norming, performing, everything.
We haven't seen this movie before.
Yeah, we swear to you.
Thinking about.
We thought about this talk before this movie came out.
Yeah.
Seriously. But you go see it. It just shows everything, how the group, spoiler warning, learns to cooperate.
The voices in your head. There's a process that when Maciek mentioned, when we were talking about the content for today's speech, and Maciek mentioned about voices in your head, I was like, this is exactly what I'm missing after COVID, because this is the setup where, not sure if you remember, we were in the office. All of us were in the office. And we're sitting together.
What's that office thing you keep mentioning?
Office? I don't know. We were sitting in the open space, another fuzzy word. And two of the people were talking about the code base or about something, and the third guy was doing some other codes. Was programming, and by a chance he or she heard some word in this conversation and say, hey, by the way, you know, this code is already deprecated. You didn't know that? You work on that since Monday? Come on. And this type of conversation, we can call them cocktail party in our IT development, but this is really crucial. And there's no cocktail party at all right now, right? We don't have this type of situations. And when Maciek told me about the voices in my head or in his head, it was about, yes, I'm thinking about something, I'm discussing something, and third person can interrupt me and say, hey, by the way, it's not I see better ideas. Also, the code review or pair programming is the process that we try to virtualize our conversation, channel the conversation. So it's definitely worth having still voices in your head, even online.
So what voices in your head is in role-playing games is usually, not usually, but many GMs are very strict when it comes to the rules of separating player and character knowledge. So much so that when the party splits, for example, they will even ask some of the people to leave the table, leave the room, put on headphones or something. I'm not like that. I allow everyone to be at the table, even if their character is not in the scene, just to have those voices in your head, because sometimes a player who's active in the scene can forget something that their character wouldn't forget, or some information or some skill they have, or maybe an item. And this other player can just say, dude, you have a ring of invisibility, or hey, he's the villain. You know that. So I allow that because that's just something that also keeps the story going on.
So wrapping up a little bit this topic of the games versus the corporations and our organizations, we would like to tell you about traps and lessons. Maciej at the beginning mentioned that he was a bad game master and he learned a lot, and I think that right now he has some lessons that he would like to share with us.
Yeah, so this is the part where I confess my sins as a GM. So railroading, do you know the term, railroading? This is when I, as a GM, came up with an idea for an amazing scene that should happen. And will be so great that during the game, I would actually force this to happen. I would neglect any ideas that my players have. I will make their choices irrelevant. I will just force this to happen, as if I didn't put them in an open and living world. I put them in a cart that's on a track and can just go in the direction I tell it to.
Sounds like a micromanagement.
Sounds like micromanagement, exactly.
Exactly.
So that's one thing, one of my sins. Power phobia is, I don't know if it is an official term. If not, I'm taking it, because that's something I also had. This is when I was so afraid of giving rewards to my players. I was stingy with XP, with gold, with magic items. I didn't want my players to get too powerful.
Any managers in the room that we have? There's one. Piotrek, don't listen. The second one, I'm joking, but it is a trap that we can fall into as a beginners of being a leader and a manager. That we were promoted, we were good at what we do, we were promoted, that's fine. But then we have some tools to reward our team or to promote some people, but we may be afraid, right? And that's human. That's totally fine as long as we are aware of that and we try to limit that or skip this fear. We can have the fear. One aspect is a fear, and the aspect was also how we were treated as a people by our manager. If our former manager didn't give us the bonus, for example, our thought can be, "Hey, I was not given the bonus by such a small thing. I will not give this reward to my team members." So again, make it conscious, think about that, and take care of your people.
Yeah. So what I did with that is I learned to celebrate successes of my group, of my party. I learned to award their ingenuity and their successes, and also with a personal development of a character. Like they came, I told you before, they came with their own backstory, maybe some ideas that they want to play just for them, not for the whole party. I set time aside during downtime sessions where we can play some scenes just for them so that they can develop their own characters. And some players are not less interested in that. They just want to be part of the party, but it's good to still be aware to do that so that I can even approach them like, are you interested in something specific for your character? Do you want to play something? Because maybe they don't, but maybe they do, but just didn't think about it. And me not thinking also about that and like neglecting them seemingly may look like a bias, and that's something that we want to avoid. We are human, we have biases, everyone can just like one person more than another, and like there's nothing wrong with that, but would be something wrong if we let it show. So I am also very aware of all my players so that everyone has time to shine, to occasion to showcase their particular character.
Exactly. As a leader is also important to think about that everyone needs to have the same amount to shine, as Maciek said, to be promoted, to be motivated, right? And the bias is when I hear about the game space, when Maciek is explaining that, it's really difficult to gather people. You don't have the regular motivators like money, afraid of losing the jobs, colleagues from the team, new technologies. You literally need to gather the people who just will be talking and make from the words that they are talking, make the story. So collective storytelling, I love it. So I would say this is even sometimes more difficult than in our IT industry. We'll talk about it definitely later.
Yeah, so Matt Colville, again, by the way, all the quotes in this talk are from just one of his video, and he has over 100 of them on YouTube about running the game, being a game master. He had this quote that me as a GM, I'm not here to solve the players' problems. I'm here to solve their solutions. So I'm not here to do their job, play for them. railroad them maybe, they are the ones who wants to be the heroes of the story. And I actually used the other quote from some guy in IT, I don't remember, that I live by about not hiring smart people to tell them what to do, but for them to tell us what to do.
Exactly. So if you would like to play, or if you would like to exchange the knowledge, and if you are curious, just look around, speak with the people, gather your party, and let's stay connected. Thank you very much.